Hello everyone, today's short lesson is going to be covering a very interesting and important grammatical point, which is apostrophes. Now, although this is something which is aimed at primary school children from year 2 upwards, this is a grammatical point which adults often make a mistake with, so it is important regardless of your age. So, in this little lesson, we're just going to cover, first of all, what apostrophes are, why we use them and why they're so important. And then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of how exactly we use them and also how we understand them in writing. So, let's go on to what apostrophes are and what they do. So here we have an apostrophe. I've just drawn a very large one here, and you'll probably all recognise one. And apostrophes have two key reasons. Now, the first one is to indicate possession, and the second one is to make contractions. So we're going to go into this a little bit. So actually for this lesson, we're just going to look at indicating possession. We're not going to look at making contractions. We're going to leave that for another time. Otherwise this will be far too long and perhaps confusing. So we're going to look at this for now. But remember, there are two reasons why we use apostrophes. And I've just used one example down here of why they're important. So I've got some robots over here, and the sentence we have is those robots over there are my sisters. And in this sentence, there are three ways we can use an apostrophe or not use an apostrophe. We can use one here, we can use one here, and we can not use one. And each of these scenarios all have very different meanings. So we're going to go into this a bit later, but this just shows you that even though apostrophes are very small, it really contains the meaning and the sense of what you're writing. So on to how we use apostrophes and how we understand them. So again, we're just looking at possession, but remember they do have another use. And I'm going to take you through a few different scenarios of how we use apostrophes. So the first one is for a singular noun. So we know nouns are thing words, and they're singulars when there's only one of them. So in this situation, we're trying to say, trying to add a possessive meaning to something. We add just apostrophe S to the end. So an apostrophe and a letter S. So if we're going to look at this sentence, so we want to add an apostrophe here because we want to describe possession. We want to describe something or someone owning something else. We ask us, I've written this bubble over here, who is doing the possessing? And that person in this sentence is the child's iPad is lying on the floor. The iPad is of the child. It's that child's iPad. So who is doing the possessing? The child is. So now we know the child is doing the possessing. Cool, we've understood that. And how many children are there? There's just one. So we go to this second bubble and we go, then they, whoever they are, whatever they are, must sit right next to the apostrophe. So here we go, and we put our apostrophe just there, just between the child and the word S and the letter S, because the iPad is a child. This is a really, really key rule. This is something I'm going to keep coming back to in a second. Let's look at another example. Here we have the bike's saddle had just been fixed. Who is doing the possessing? The bike's saddle. It's the saddle of the bike. So they must be next to the apostrophe. So we have one bike, we have one saddle, and there goes an apostrophe, just by the singular bike, because it's a singular noun. So let's move on a little bit. There's a couple of other rules here. So if the noun, the thing, already ends in an S, then all we need to do is add S to the apostrophe as well. So even though this might look a bit like there's too many S's in the word, this is correct. So for example, here we've got a very topical one. This example over here, we've got the virus's impact on the country was big. Who's doing the possessing? Again, if we ask this question, the virus is doing the possessing because it's the impact of the virus. So we put apostrophe S. Should be fairly straightforward. And here is where things can get a little bit more confusing, is that if it's a plural noun, so if it's lots of things being described and they already end in S, then all you need to do is add an apostrophe, just like that. So in this situation, this is correct here. The teacher's cars are in the car park. Who is doing the possessing? The teachers are. And we know the teachers, there's loads of teachers, because there's just one apostrophe at the end. And the apostrophe has to go next to, as I already said, next to the person and the people who do the possessing. same rule. Just have to keep thinking about who is doing the possessive. So now we're going to go quickly on to proper noun, and this you might get a bit worried about using apostrophe in proper nouns. So proper nouns are people or places with capital letters, just because maybe you think it draws more attention to it. However, it is fairly straightforward. So a proper noun, places or names with capital letters. For example, here we've got Sophie's shoes are multicoloured. So we can do who is doing possessive. So where do you put on apostrophe? Well, the shoes belong to Sophie. Sophie's shoes. So we just add an apostrophe S. That's like we did before. We know how to do that, so we're comfortable with that. And then here comes the kind of confusing one where a lot of people still argue about that. I've written this over here that it's something a lot of grammatical experts and writers still argue over and discuss this use. But both can be valid in their own ways. And as long, generally, as you use your one technique throughout your piece of writing, then that will be fine. So a proper noun that only ends in S, so for example Paris over here, we can either add an apostrophe S, or we can just add an apostrophe, like we did before. So for example, Paris's streets are extremely beautiful. The streets of Paris, we put an apostrophe there, that's fine. Also, we've got here, the school's Christmas show covered Jesus' past. Jesus, here we go, proper noun, capital letter, and we've just put one at the end, and this is also fine. So this is something which you need to stick with basically as you're writing, and also be able to understand exactly this. So, just before we finish, I'm going to go over a few ones here which can often be confusing, and it's something that people still get wrong into adulthood, and you can feel very satisfied when you know how to use these and what the difference actually is. And it will really make a difference to the quality of your writing if you can tell the difference there. So, some pronouns. So the words that are used in relation to other words. So its, theirs, hers, yours. These are some examples here. Some of them are already possessive. Some of them already have possession built into them. So these are some examples that have been made, which means we don't need to add our possessive apostrophe next to anything, as we were with the other ones. So they're perfectly made as they are. So it's, here we go. A lot of people put an apostrophe here. That would be wrong. Here, for example, this sentence. His dog is so friendly and its coat is soft. We don't need an apostrophe here, even though the coat does belong to it, the dog, being the dog. We don't need an apostrophe because it is perfectly possessive as it is. It's a possessive pronoun. The house looked expensive, but no one knew its price. It, yes, it's referring to the house, but it's perfect as it is. We don't need an apostrophe. That would be wrong. So, here we have the same situation with theirs, hers, and yours. The entire cake was hers to eat. Hers is fine. My name is Aaron. This is yours. Yours. We don't need an apostrophe. Perfect as they are. Now, just to finish up, I've got a few pictures here, some real life mistakes that people have made, mainly with shops, in the use of their apostrophes, and maybe we can go through them together. Let's go through the first one together and see what mistakes we made, and we can go through the rest in a row. So number one, we are closed on Mondays. So here we can see the use of apostrophe here in Mondays. However, Monday isn't owning anything. Monday isn't being possessive. Monday is simply being plural. So we do not need an apostrophe. So that is why it's wrong. There you go. Similar example with these ones. You can come back to these maybe to today's date. And finally, just to quickly summarise, you know the key rule with knowing about possession and use of apostrophes is who and what is doing the possessing. This is something we need to keep asking ourselves. So let's go back to that first strange sentence using the first time. Those robots in the sand are my sisters. Who is doing the possessing here? If it's the sister possessing the robots, then they must be next to the apostrophe. So here you have it. The robots belong to my sister. But then we'll also think about, does the sentence make sense? And this is something we can always go back to in everything we read and we write, because when we look back on things, does it make sense? So actually, if we don't have an apostrophe there, then what sentence would be, those robots in the sand are my sisters. This would be a very different meaning without an apostrophe. So let's just think about the sense the sentence is making, who's doing the assessing, and what action we must take from there if they are doing the assessing. Does it make sense? Have a read, and also have a practice. So here are a few sentences here. We can go back over these on another lesson or at a later date, or you can go through them yourself and try and work out if they make sense. Do they need an apostrophe? Maybe they don't at all. And if they do, where does it go? So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed.